Okay, so today we have webinar on NLP. I still request few of you to turn on your camera. I still see only 3 people turning on their camera. It is essential for you all. So IC is talking about it. It works in 2 departments, one-to-one counseling department and training department. So as you all know, we have courses uh, related to psychology for the people who are from psychology background and who are from non-psychology background. And we have received 2 awards, first Best EdTech and then Education Excellence Award in this recent year only. So again, I request all of you to please turn on your camera so that now we can start with the webinar. I am seeing only 3 people turning on their camera. I request all of you. And how to get a certification, we are going to share the procedure at the end of the class. So please ensure that you don't leave the class. Take the full class. Let's be engaging by turning our camera on. And then how to get the certificate, we are going to tell you at the end. So talking about today webinar trainer, her name is Madhumita. She has 15 years of experience at MNC organizations. She's a life coach and executive coach. She's senior corporate trainer, specializing in designing, thinking, leadership, and soft skill. So today she's going to take the webinar. And again, I am requesting all of you to please turn on your camera and let's make this class engaging. So I guess we are good to start now. And Madhumita, you can go.
Hey, thank you so much. That's Tanika, right? Tanika?
Yes.
Okay, thank you so much for that generous introduction. Okay, to start off with, I'd like to wish everyone a very happy Republic Day, folks. I hope you all are doing good. Yes, yes. I know that Tanika has been asking everybody to put the camera on, and we are not seeing very many responses, but I thank all of you who have put the camera on. It's lovely to see you folks and then talk about this subject, which is really, really very close to my heart. And I know you all want to know and learn about this, which is why we are all here, right? Everybody can hear me fine? My audio is clear? Yes? Okay, so before we start, I'm really curious to know a little bit about everyone. So in the chat box, if you all could just tell me, where are you logging in from? Which part of the country or the world you're logging in from? So I will read that out. Okay, Vignesh is from Chennai. Thank you, Vignesh. Nice to see you. Okay, I'm waiting for more responses. Okay, Maria is from Karnataka. Ila is from Tamil Nadu. Wow. Harriet is from Tamil Nadu again. Manish is from Chhattisgarh. Himani from Dehradun. Deepak, Mumbai. Sachin from Rajasthan. Mantri, Jammu and Kashmir. Wow, where are you, Mantri? I want to see you. Okay, I'm sure it's snowing there, is it? Okay, all right, folks. Shetri Mayun is from Bangalore. All right, okay. Okay, Paulian Lal, I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing your name correctly. Correct me if I'm going wrong there, is from Manipur. Basoli is from Jammu. Okay. Sanjay is from Jammu. Sorry, I thought that's the name, my mistake. Okay, all right. A very warm welcome to today's session, folks. So today we are going to talk about NLP, right? So how many of us already know a little bit about NLP? Can I have some hands raised? You can use the virtual hand. Anybody? Okay, Anurag sir is saying he has an idea of NLP. Anybody else? Anybody else? Cool. All right. Okay, so we have the next about 45 minutes together. So let's dive straight in. Okay. So what are we going to talk about? What are we going to talk about? We are going to talk about NLP. Anybody who would like to speak and would want to unmute themselves and say what NLP stands for? Okay, Anurag sir, go for it. You got to unmute yourself. Anurag asked to unmute.
It's called Neuro-Linguistic Linguistic Programming.
Okay, Neuro-Linguistic Programming. Thank you. A big round of applause for Anurag ji. Thank you. So yes, it is Neuro-Linguistic Programming. So what are we going to talk about Neuro-Linguistic Programming? We've heard about computer programming, software programming, right? We program machines to work a certain way. Is there really a way to program something called Neuro-Linguistic? So let's break it down. Okay, let's look at the definition in 3 different phases. Why 3 different phases? Because there are 3 different words in this subject, which is neuro, then there is linguistic, and then there is programming. Okay, and before I start, just a little, laying the ground rules. So this session, is going to be interactive. So I would really expect everybody to participate because, a one-way monologue doesn't really create that much of a learning. Would you all agree with that? Yes? How many of you agree with that, right? Thank you, Talqeen. So yes, when we talk about it, when we discuss about a subject, when we reflect, when we come up with the answers, ask questions, that is when the maximum learning happens, right? I'm giving you a monologue, right? I'm talking about the subject. You can go make your chai, have little dinner and come back, and by then the session is already over. It's not even an hour left with us, right? So let's get interactive. Let's get learning how much ever we can in this little time we have together. Is there a commitment that I can have from everybody? Yes? Yes? All right. Thank you, everyone. Okay, so neuro. What does neuro? What does neuro do to you? What does neuro mean to you? Neuro means brain, anything related to the brain, right? So why neuro? So neuro simply means how the brain is storing the information, right? How the brain is storing the information. Where is it getting the information from? Information is collected from the external environment. And how is it collected? It is collected through our yes, Talqeen, you need to unmute yourself. I can see your lip movement and I know what you're saying.
5 sensory organs.
5 sensory organs. Absolutely. Thank you very much, Talqeen. So, what are the 5 sensory organs that we have? 5 sensory organs?
Eye, ear, nose, lips, and mind.
Okay. Eyes, okay, which is called visuals, right? Ears is auditory, right? Nose is olfactory, okay? Then there is touch. Touch is called kinesthetics, yes? And G is for gustatory, which is our tongue, which gives us a sense of taste. Gustatory is related to a sense of taste. So there are 5 sense organs. In NLP, we call them VAKOG. These are also known as the submodalities. Okay. So in neuro, the part neuro in NLP refers to the brain where we store all the information that is collected from the external environment through the 5 senses. These 5 senses in NLP are called VAKOG, right? They are the submodalities. With me so far? Yes? VAKOG. This is very important. When we elaborate more and we talk about NLP more, when we are sitting with our clients, it is very important for us to identify which sense our clients is using at that point in time. And accordingly, we can progress on that work that we are doing with our client. Okay? So that is the neuro part. The next part is linguistic. What does linguistic mean?
Language.
Language, yes. Thank you, Anuragji. Language it is. So what does language have to do with the brain? So in the brain, when we see something, right, or hear something, yes, there is a certain interaction, there is a conversation that's going on in the mind, right? And that is creating our thoughts. There is a language in our mind that is creating the thoughts. Yes, like we have different dialects, we have different languages that we speak in. We speak Hindi, English, whatever language, our mother tongue, whatever the native language we speak, we have a certain language. The same way our brain also has a certain language that it talks to us in. And based on that language, our thoughts are formed. Everybody's language could be different. Yes, thoughts are formed by the language of the brain. So neuro-linguistic, first we talk about the brain where thoughts are stored, then we talk about the language of the brain, and then there is programming, which means we program the language of the brain. We program the language of the brain to create a thought pattern. Is that possible? Yes. Is that magic? No. What is it then? It is pure science. Okay? So this is a part of neuroscience where we say that it is really possible for us to change our perspective, to change our thoughts. And why do we need to change our thoughts and perspective? Because our world is what we understand of it, how we look at it. The moment we change our perspective, the world around us changes. The moment we start looking at possibilities, we see so many options, right? So that is the basic idea. It's a very deep subject, but we will first understand what is neuro-linguistic programming. So in my definition, whatever I said just now about neuro-linguistics and programming, what we are saying is, it's a creative way of programming the language to create or to change our thought patterns and thereby change our behaviors. Because what we say is, how we speak to ourselves is how our thoughts are formed. And when thoughts are formed, those thoughts result into feelings, right? And feelings are there. According to those feelings, we act. According to those feelings, we behave. And based on our action, there are consequences, right? So what is at the root cause of everything? It is the thoughts. So the moment we know how to program those thoughts and change the patterns of the thoughts, do you agree that our lives could change? Yes? Yes? Excellent. Thank you very much. Now I'll give you a little activity. Everybody understood the meaning of neuro-linguistic programming? Everyone with me on this? Great. Excellent. Now a little task, okay? Everybody up for a little task, a little activity? Yes? Okay. Now, everyone could make a different definition of neuro-linguistic programming in a line. Okay, I'll give you 1 minute. Just come up with your own definition, and then I will request you to put it in the chat box. And if you want to speak up, we can have 2 or 3 people talking about the definition. But please don't make that definition too long. Just make it a one-liner. We'll just give 1 minute for this activity. Write down your own definition of neuro-linguistic programming. Doesn't matter whether it's right or wrong. Just put down your definition. Your time starts now.
I'm ready with my answer.
Yeah, I know. I saw that, Anuragji, right at the start. You are raising your hand, but we'll give an equal opportunity to everybody if that's okay.
Yeah, I agree. I agree.
Great, great. Thank you. Okay, all right. Anyone ready with the definition? Anyone who would like to, let's see some hands from people who have not spoken so far. Would love to hear from you. Anybody? Anybody? Come on, let's see some hands. Come on. There is no right or wrong answer. Nobody is going to judge you. Let's talk about it. Yes, Maria, you want to say something? You're on mute, Maria.
Yes, it is like changing thought process.
Changing thought processes. Absolutely. Thank you, Maria. Can we give her a big round of applause, folks? Thank you. Anybody else? Yes, Kalpi.
It says stimulating the brain to perform in a particular manner or a proper manner for a fruitful act.
Okay, for a fruitful act, you have given a very strong reason for the brain to act in a certain way. Thank you very much. Brilliant. Can we all give her a big round of applause? Thank you. Okay, I saw another hand raised. Let me pen down very quickly. Yes, Anuragji, I'm going to come to you last. Okay, just one more answer we can take. Okay, I saw the hand. Unfortunately, I missed the name. Anybody? Okay, cool. All right. Let's go with Anuragji. Go for your definition, sir.
Okay. It's like you have to condition your subconscious mind, not your conscious mind. Subconscious mind.
Okay, all right. Thank you. That's a deep one, Anuragji. A big round of applause for him, folks. Thank you. Yes, so we will get into the conscious and subconscious. Yes, there is a complete model. There are different techniques, which we can use in order to get the programming done more effectively. But before we do that, let's dive into the history of NLP a little bit, because whatever we are doing, we need to understand where it came from, right? So the term neuro-linguistic programming was coined by Dr. Richard Bandler back in the 1970s, and he majored actually in mathematics and computer science, right? Therefore, many people say that this neuro-linguistic programming actually came from the computer language and things like that. So there is NLP, one language in computers as well, but this is a different NLP, which is of the brain, of course. So Dr. Richard Bandler then teamed up with a professor in the University of California. His name is John Grinder, and both of them then worked together on this entire concept. And there were many more programs, many more techniques which were added into this entire framework of NLP. Meta models came up when they met Virginia Satter, who was a therapist at that time. But gradually what happened is, in the early 2000s, NLP started facing a flack where people started, saying things. There were a lot of criticism about NLP because people's expectations of NLP was very different from the one that it was coined with the idea of. So people actually started expecting magic out of NLP. And it is very important to understand that NLP is not magic.
Yeah, to help करो Myra, to help करो
May I request everybody who's not talking to go on mute, please?
Myra थोड़ा सा बाकी है
Okay. Sorry about that, folks. So yeah, so NLP is not magic. It is pure science, right? There are also NLP. People do different practices and they name it on NLP. They say that this is NLP, but it is not really NLP. NLP is derived from, not really derived, but it was actually formed with the idea of evolving or adding value to interpersonal communication. Dr. Bandler actually started with the idea of improving interpersonal communication, right? How can we improve communication between two parties and make life simpler? And to that effect, a lot of presuppositions came into existence. There were a lot of principles that backs up the idea of NLP. So you may see a lot of intense NLP practices. But understand that they are just not NLP alone. They are mixed up with several other practices which are very relative to each other. Right? So getting back to NLP, what are some of the principles that NLP is based on? So if anybody is looking for neuro-linguistic programming, right? In neuro-linguistic programming, the first objective is for your client to want to make a difference to their own lives. We cannot do anything, or we cannot change anything about someone who doesn't want to change. We cannot enforce this on anybody. So anybody who comes to take this, wants to benefit from NLP has to want to change, right? They have to have a goal in mind. First important thing is there has to be a goal. So if you're applying NLP on somebody, you also have to have a goal. Like there are different aspects of NLP, folks. Like it is used in rapport building, right? So if you're using rapport building, what is it that you want to achieve through that rapport building? You want the other party to really accept your viewpoints. That is number one objective, right? Acceptance of what you're saying or what you're trying to communicate. Then probably you want to leave an impression on your audience. Yes. Then there is also one more reason for rapport building could be probably create a win-win situation. So the objective has to be very clear for where you are going to use NLP. That is the most important principle of NLP. And NLP is the second most important thing is NLP is based on mutual respect. Okay. It is based on integrity, it is based on honesty, and it is based on the fact that all the parties involved in it have mutual respect. It is completely based on human values. Okay. There is nothing transactional about NLP. Please remember, there is nothing transactional about NLP. NLP is all about respect and the willingness to change. And willingness to change comes with growth mindset. How many of us have heard about growth mindset? Okay, Talkin, Anurag, Ella, right? Thank you very much, folks. So yes, growth mindset. Growth mindset is the willingness to grow, learn, and evolve. Right? A fixed mindset is somebody who thinks they are the best where they are and they don't want to change anything about the way they are. So NLP will not make any difference to them. Right? And I am sure all you folks have the growth mindset, which is why you are here today and you're willing to learn. So I really congratulate you for taking this time on a holiday, on a national holiday, and dedicating this to this effort of learning and growing forward. Thank you, Anuragji. Yes. So those are some of the principles. Before I move forward, I wanted to ask you, check with you, everybody on the same page with me. Is there anything that you have in mind you would like to put forth or ask before we move forward? No? All right. Okay. So we are going great, right? Okay. Now, as we were talking about this, I also spoke about NLP presuppositions. So what are presuppositions? What are suppositions essentially? Suppositions are given facts, right? This is a given. Suppositions are something which any framework is based on. So presuppositions, which means before even you get here to this fundamental, there are certain things that we have to come to terms with before we even learn NLP. So there are a few presuppositions to that effect. I have got the slides. I will just share my slides with everybody and then we can talk about it. Okay. Everyone can see my screen? Okay. The first presupposition of NLP is have respect for the other person's model of the world. Model of the world. What is model of the world? Model of the world is how I am looking at the world could be quite different. That is, my model of the world may be quite different from the model that you carry in your mind about the world. Right? I may look at the world as a progressive place. This is the place to thrive, right? This is the place to grow. This is the place to get creative. But there could be somebody else who sits right next to me and says, okay, my model of the world is only about love, right? There could be a third person sitting next to that person and say, okay, my model of world is only about fights, right? Or battles or survival. You see how there are different narratives coming up for different models of the same world. The world is same, right? I'm also living in Earth. The other person next to me is also on Earth. But it's only the perspective that each one of us carry about the world. And in NLP, before we get into that, as NLP practitioners, we take a pledge to have respect for each other's model of the world and not say, okay, my model of the world is better than yours. Yes? Everybody with me on the first presupposition? Yes? Cool. Okay. The next one is the map is not the territory. What is the map? So India has a map, right? And that is its territory. But with human minds, my reality, my map of the reality of my life, okay, could be very different from the actual reality. What do I mean by that? So for example, I tell you that, I do not have options. I have to stay with this job. What other option do I have? Okay. But you as an NLP practitioner, when you are asking me those bright questions and you are sitting with me and talking to me, you are actually seeing a lot of other options available to me, which I am not seeing. So which means the map that I'm showing you of my reality is not the territory. There is a lot more outside of the boundary that I'm showing you. And it's not that I'm not showing you deliberately. Probably because I am also not able to see those, which is why I have come to you and you are the NLP practitioner. So you are going to help me see what I'm not seeing or show me what I'm not showing you. Yes, Anurag, you wanted to say something? You're on mute, sir. You need to unmute yourself. No, you are still on mute. We can't hear you. Yes.
Now you can hear me?
Yes.
Now, see, it's like very simple. What you are saying is that suppose somebody gets a map of Bombay and he is asked to search cannot place, he will never be able to do it because the map is also correct and the cannot place is also correct. So that is it. Okay?
Okay, thank you. Thank you for that analogy, Anuragji. Thank you. Okay, so with the first two presuppositions, everyone is on the same page? Yes? Yes? Okay. The third one, very important, very important. We have all the resources we need. If we want to undertake something, if we want to start a business, for example, right? Or if we want to increase our certifications, our credentials, or we want to look into another country, we want to have a family, we all have resources to do that, right? The problem arises when we don't recognize the resources that are available to us. And those are the blinders that we need to lift with the help of NLP. We need to believe, the presupposition is that we need to believe that we all have the resources needed to undertake a certain project. And they are unraveled when we speak to the NLP practitioner or the client speaks to the NLP practitioner. They then realize when these layers are lifted from their mind, and the vision is clear, the vision of the mind is clear, they realize they actually have all the options, they have all the resources. But we as an NLP practitioner, we cannot go to the table without completely believing that everybody has all the resources. This has to be the bedrock of a NLP practitioner's belief system. This is a fact. Yes? Okay, let's move on to the fourth one. Behind every behavior, there is a positive intention. Okay, behind every behavior, there is a positive intention. What does that mean? Does anybody act knowing that this is bad for them? No, right? Everybody has a justification for the way they behave. Which means what? They have a positive intent behind behaving the way they are. They are behaving based on what their truth is. And they are behaving according to their own truth. So when you behave according to a truth, that is a positive intention. May not be a positive intention in my eyes, your eyes, but the person who is behaving in their eyes, it's the right thing to do. So you see, the intent is positive. And therefore, as NLP practitioner, if we don't believe in this, we would go ahead and we would go judgmental and we would go accusing our client saying that, okay, what you're doing is not right. We can't say that. And we can only hold ourselves back from saying that if we believe that they have a positive intent behind doing what they are doing or behaving the way they are behaving. Making sense? Here, I am not saying that what they are doing is the right thing. There is a difference. What everybody is doing is the right thing. That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is, I as an NLP practitioner believe that everybody is actually acting according to their own truth, which means everybody is behaving with a positive intent according to their own perspectives. Yes? Some people will shout, some people will yell, somebody will lose their cool, right? There'll be anger issues. NLP is used a lot in case of resolving anger issues, anxiety disorders, phobias, right? And when you talk to them, you must have come across people, not necessarily your clients, but you must have come across people who have, one of these issues, or they are always constantly feeling sad about their lives, right? And when you talk to them, they are so convinced that that's the way it should be. They would say, okay, I got angry, but I ought to get angry. Why did he do that? Because the other person behaved that way, it was right on my part to get angry. Have you heard people saying that, justifying their anger? I spoke off lately to a teacher. Okay, teacher who teaches small children of different age groups till the age of 12. Okay, and she's beating up children. And when I spoke to her, she said, you know what, that's the right thing to do. How would children behave? How would children do their homework? How would they get disciplined if they don't have the fear of the guardian or the teacher? I need to beat them. See, her intent there is what? To make sure that the children are disciplined. They study well. So the intent behind the behavior is good, but the behavior is not acceptable. You see what I'm trying to say? So that is what this NLP presupposition talks about. Everybody with me? I see hardly any videos on and okay, all right, cool. So we'll do with whoever is putting their videos on and be kind with us, okay? Thank you, folks. Okay, all right. The fifth one is anything can be accomplished with if the task is broken down into enough small steps. What does that mean? So if the client or if anybody wants a big goal, wants a big thing in their life, like you would know, you would have come across people who would come to you and say, like children, right? When you ask them, what do you want to be when you grow up? They would say, okay, I want to be the president of United States. Say, for example, right? The most powerful country in the world. I want to be, soon India will be there, hopefully. But right now it is still United States. So they say, okay, I want to be the president of the United States. That seems overwhelming, right? If you ask them, how will you do that? They won't know. They would be blank. So how can you help them as a parent get there? By helping them break those goals into micro goals. There is something called micro goals. Yeah, the big goal is broken down into micro goals. To do this, there are different techniques. Okay, there are visualization techniques. There are several other techniques where we can step by step break them into small micro steps and help people get there. So as NLP practitioners, when you work with real-time clients and you support them through their journey, you would also be probably holding them accountable for each step that they take. Yeah, and that is how, and it is also very important to really see how far you have come in the journey. That's the biggest motivator to keep walking or to keep going on that journey. Right? So these are the little things that we need to keep in mind and believe as practitioners. The next part is choice is better than no choice. What does it mean? Choice is better than no choice. In other words, we can say that making a bad decision is better than making no decision. Yeah. There would be instances in life where we would feel the need to hold on to a decision or to not take a decision. We would put it under the rugs, we would put it under the carpet and wait for things to resolve themselves on their own. That doesn't happen, right? Does it happen? If you keep putting things inside under the carpet, under the rugs, do they resolve themselves on their own? Doesn't happen, right? So we have to face those situations. We have to brave up, go out there and make those difficult choices. So what do you keep in mind when you make those difficult choices? There are very simple rules. There are just two things that we need to do, folks, when we make a difficult choice. The first thing is assess what are the disruptions your decision or choice is causing. What are the disruptions it's causing to you, to your family, to your community, or to your organization? That's the first thing you have to assess. Secondly, please ensure that the benefits of that decision far outweighs the disruptions. Right? So if the benefit of that decision is far outweighing the disruptions that the decision is making, then that is the decision you probably ought to make. There will always be a lot of other choices, options. It is not possible to always look at every option in a given situation. But choose based on these two criteria and see which one is serving right now and causing the maximum benefit in the given scenario. But always make a decision, because making a decision is far better than not making a decision or not making a choice. Yes? Everyone with me? Everybody is on the same page with me? Yes, no, any questions? I would love to take them. Okay, I take that as no questions. Moving forward, this is very important. We are always communicating. We are always communicating. Whether we are talking, we are not talking, we are silent, we are always communicating. So for example, so I have a child, right? So when I am upset with my child, I do not talk to my child. I stop talking. I don't scold, right? I obviously don't beat, but I just keep quiet. I don't talk for some time. And my child gets the message. I am still communicating through not speaking. Silence is also a mode of communication. right? We are communicating in the way we are looking at each other without saying any words. You know, you can kill people. Akhiyon se goli mare, that song is there, right? You can actually shoot a person with your eyes. Yeah, so we are actually communicating even when we are not saying anything, in the way we are standing, whether it's a closed gesture, open gesture, right? Whether we are smiling, not smiling, what is the intensity? Are we piercing through our eyes, or we are looking into each other's eyes, listening to each other? Everything can be demonstrated even without saying anything, without the use of words. Yes. These are all, folks, remember, these are presuppositions. These are fundamental beliefs that every NLP practitioner needs to have and inculcate in their lives and their minds before getting into NLP, right? The meaning of your communication is the response you get. This is another very important point. Sometimes you may have come across situations where you would think or say that, oh, I didn't say that. मैंने तो ऐसा बोला ही नहीं. I never said that. What I said is this, and my intent was that. Who knows what my intent is? If I am not communicating in a way that my receiver of the communication is able to understand it according to the intent, then my communication is faulty. I need to do something about it. It doesn't matter what the intent of the communication is, as long as the receiver of the communication is not following it. Whose responsibility is it to make sure that the communication is sacrosanct? It is communicated as per the intent. It is the responsibility of both the parties, of course. It is the receivers and also of the giver of the communication. Yes? Okay. Next one, there is no failure, only feedback. This is a very, very common presupposition which is used in the startup industry, right? I have been a part of startup myself, so I know how important it is for all of us to believe that there is no failure, only feedback. The biggest part of the story is the fact that I have actually made a decision to do something. Okay, the results didn't fall out according to my expectations. And this is what somebody will call a failure. But I would like to say that this is not a failure. I learned something from here. And that is my feedback for that situation. The next time I go trying this, I would implement that feedback or that learning I got from this situation. And this is what we need to tell our clients and communicate this to our clients when they come to us for any sort of discussion. Yes? Yes, Anurag, your hand is raised.
So sorry. I'm sorry to actually disturb you. You're doing a fantastic job. All I want to say is that, see what happens when you are interacting. It's like a monologue. You're speaking and we are able to connect. And you see what happens when a person is speaking, the listener can only connect to a period of 30 seconds to 45 seconds.
Absolutely.
So what I suggest is, so, okay, I'm really enjoying and I'm learning something new. It should be more of, I'm sorry to interrupt you, but two things I want: interaction, that is activity by the participant, number one, and number two, more of the slide knowledge sharing, so that they can understand what is knowledge and they can note it down. That's all. Thank you.
Most welcome. Thank you. We'll keep that in mind, Anurag ji. Yeah. Okay. All right. So there is no failure. There is feedback that comes from Anurag ji. Thank you. Real time that came, right? Okay. All right. What is the next one? Any questions till now for whatever we have discussed? Any questions so far? No? Okay. All right.
1 second.
Okay.
1 second. Just one.
Please go on.
The question is offline, because I saw you were drinking water, okay? And one lady is sitting and using the fan. I am from Kanpur, Uttar Pradesh, which is 2 degrees. And I am also using fan, which is hot fan, not cold fan. Okay, that's all. Thank you.
I would answer that offline, Anuragji. Sure. Okay, all right. So the next one is, if what you are doing isn't working, do something else. Have you heard of this book? Anybody has heard of this book? What got you here won't get you there. It's a very interesting book, right? You can take down the name of this book. It's such an interesting book. What got you here won't get you there. I think it is written by Adam Bryant, if I'm not mistaken. Author, I'm not very sure of, but that's the name of the book. So if you want a particular result in life, right, you must have noticed this in real life also. When we want a particular result and we are following the same methodologies over and over and over and over again, okay, and you are not meeting the result, what does that tell us? Goal is constant, right? The path is also the same. Can I change the route? Can I take another route to get there? Right? So it is not possible that, I am doing everything and I am not getting it. It's not happening. There is something probably that I need to change. I need to figure that something out. What is not working? That is the time for introspection. Yes, and that is again a very important presupposition. So I understand these presuppositions could be a little bit of a drag, but this is the fundamental bedrock of studying NLP. As long as we are not able to imbibe them in our system, it is very difficult to really follow the other parts of NLP that comes forth, right? And the last one is mind and body form a linked system. Mind and body form the linked system. And it's a very important part of medical sciences now. It is already proven, where it says that most of the ailments that you get, that we all get in our bodies, are because of psychosomatic disorders. Right? You may have noticed that may I stop sharing the slide now? Yes? Everybody good with that? Good. Okay. So what happens is, you must have noticed that when you're going through a stress situation, try and be aware of your body where you are feeling it in your body. Like for me, if I'm stressed, I get it on my cervical spondylitis go up. Some people before exams will get a rumbling in the stomach, right? They feel a lot of stress in their stomach. So what medical sciences say is now that our body and our mind are linked to each other. That is another presupposition that we would like to believe and then progress on this journey of NLP. All right, all good so far? Yes. Any questions, folks? Anything that you would like to know, ask about the course? What does NLP entail? Something in your mind that's happening. I'm happy to take those questions. Yes, Anuragji.
I want to attend a 5 days program or 7 days program. That is from 10 to 5 in the evening. And really, I want to get my mind conditioned the way I want, because I really understand that 45 minutes of webinars or these can at least get you what you know about NLP. But the real changes come when you spend 5-7 days, particularly working on those, then you get your mind conditioned. So I want to attend a 7 days workshop anywhere in India. I'll go and I'll stay and I'll live. That is our, and can you help me on that? That's my question. Thank you.
Okay, about the 5 and 7 days workshop, right now, I think Kanika would be the right person to take those questions once we wrap up. Maybe you can speak with her about this. But with respect to whatever NLP is, right, and what it does, what are the techniques, what do we do? So NLP folks, when we talk about linguistic programming wouldn't just help or wouldn't just happen at the snap of a finger, right? There are certain techniques that we need to follow. There are certain things that we need to bring into practice. And the first step to practicing them comes through awareness, right? A lot of awareness has to set in. And all these things happen when we unfold one chapter after the other. Like we talk about cognitive distortions. What are cognitive distortions? They are, what is cognitive? Cognitive is your thinking brain, right? The first layer, which helps you take your day-to-day decisions, right? Your day-to-day life, like things you do every day, you're talking, you're interacting, your work that you do every day, your thinking that happens generally, that is all cognitive brain that's doing it, right? Now, in this cognitive brain, there are so many distortions. So when we receive information, right, we receive information through our five senses. What happens is in the mind, in the subconscious mind, we have the filters, right? Now, these filters actually either distort information, right? They delete some information or they generalize some information. And that is what results into the output. And this output is our thought, our feelings, and our behavior. Yes. So through NLP, what do we essentially do? We are talking about what are the fundamentals and the bedrock of NLP. What do we essentially do? We actually question these distortions. We try to bring up the deletions, right? And we challenge the generalizations that happen. Like nobody cares for me, the generalization, right? Really, nobody? How do you know? When you ask these questions, when you challenge these belief systems, when people are forced to think, and when they think deeply, they get that space and time to think deeply about what's happening inside and where all this information or the belief system is coming from. That's when realization happens. And these realizations are the crux of that change that the person undergoes going forward. No change happens without realization. Right? So, and a person has to want to make that change. So these are some of the things. Then these are the cognitive distortions that we spoke about. Then there are frames, right? We operate from certain frames of mind. We sometimes operate from the blame frame. Sometimes we operate from the outcome frame. Sometimes we operate from the victim mode. Right? There are different frames we operate from. So what NLP does is it makes us aware of where we stand in those scientific language. And once we understand where we stand, we do those reflections for ourselves. It is time that we start figuring out how do we change this. As long as we don't put a finger and understand where we stand in reality, we can't bring about the change. And it's all about change, and every kind of change is possible in our lives. There is a saying in Hindi. Does everybody follow Hindi here? I'm so this is my favorite thing to say. Okay, Anurag ji does. Okay, I will say it in Hindi and then I translate in English. Okay, so it says, "जिसकी दृष्टि बदल गई, उसकी सृष्टि बदल गई." Meaning.
One more. I want to make one quotation which you should use, okay?
Sure. Tell me.
Change does not assure progress. Change does not assure progress, but every progress requires change.
Excellent. Absolutely. Thank you. So relevant. So yes, that is so true. And once our perspective is changed, right? One whose perspective is changed, their lives are changed. For the better, of course. Yes, so with that, we stand at 5 minutes to 8. If you have any more questions with respect to NLP and what it entails, I'm happy to take. Otherwise, I'm going to go ahead and hand it over to Kanika. Yes, Ruchika, go for it.
Ma'am, I would like to know about the syllabus, like what you are saying, like if in case you can just give a brief on that, so that in the future I can just think of pursuing it further.
Sure.
Thank you.
So Kanika would help you with the curriculum. Of course, what you're asking for is a good ask. So I'm sure she can help you with that. Okay.
Or I will help with it till the time if anyone is having any doubt regarding what I have learned yet, you can ask.
Ma'am, can we use this NLP like in teenagers, those who are in relationship? Can we change their thought process?
Of course, it works on anybody. And please understand, it's not a therapy. It's not therapy. Neuro-linguistic programming is not therapy. Okay, there would be parts of the practices which are used in NLP come from different therapeutical modalities, but NLP as a framework is not therapy. Okay, so of course you can use them. There is no therapy in it. It is only talking about how do you make the changes, where do we stand. Of course, there are some techniques which are very simple techniques and can be used.
Ma'am, if I'm like, I just want to ask one more thing. That if in case like, what would be the scope, like if in case we take up this thing, what would be the scope of this, like, this programming NLP?
In profession, you are saying, Ruchika?
Yes, ma'am.
Sure, that's a very good question. Of course, NLP practitioner is by itself a very good career prospect. Life coaches nowadays are using a lot of NLP. So I am a gold standard certified coach myself. So I use NLP in my practice. I use NLP practices even in my corporate trainings, right? So the knowledge of NLP, of course, gives you a leverage. That credential is highly valued, and also it helps you in all the other related practices that you do in life coaching. It helps you in counseling. It helps you in training facilitation if you are doing that.
Thank you, ma'am.
Most welcome, Ruchika. Yes, Anuragji.
Thank you very much. Really, I'm highly impressed with your communication skills, unstoppable connectivity to the audience. I was really connected with you very well throughout. You're really a very prolific speaker. Everything is damn good. God bless you.
Thank you, Anuragji. How kind of you. Really, thank you. Okay. Anybody else would like to say or ask anything? Kanika, would you like to take over from here on? I don't think